My friend, thank you for being here. You are a father, and that matters. Your role is critical. And as you discover and step into your role as a father, you are changing the world. 3 nuggets that hit me from my conversation with the one and only Johnny Nun today is 1, the importance of teaching your kids how to live a disciplined life. Number 2, stacking on that is you as a father are really setting a tone, a foundation, if you will, for what your children's habits will be that they will probably carry many of those through their life. I mean, you teach them to brush their teeth, what to eat, when to eat, how to eat. All these little things you are teaching and shaping and building a foundation for them. And number 3 is many men put their careers above their fatherhood role, and it's a missed opportunity. When you're 85 years old, you will never look back and say, I wish I would have worked more or put more energy into my career than my kiddos. So don't miss that opportunity. Welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast, where I interview incredible fathers, gaining wisdom from their stories for both you and I to grow in our own craft. I'm your guide, Ned Shout, father to 5 kiddos, currently ages 12 to 18, and husband to my rad wife, Sarah, working on our 21st year of marriage. So yep, I'm in the thick of it, and I'm working daily to rebel against the low expectations for fathers and create a world where fathers know who they are as they show up for their families. You and I have the greatest opportunity to impact our world through the way we embrace our fatherhood role. This episode is brought to you by the Adventure of Fatherhood, helping men discover their powerful fatherhood role and build their fatherhood skills. The role of the father is to serve, guide, steward, protect, and of course, find joy and have fun in the messiness of it all. Today's guest is my friend, Johnny Nun, an incredible man, husband, father, fighter, coach, and all-around rad dude showing up daily, rebelling against the status quo. Enjoy meeting my friend, Johnny. All right, my friends, welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes. Super pumped to be talking to Johnny Nun today. Johnny, how are you?
I'm doing well, doing good, thanks.
Dude, thank you so much for joining me. I love talking fatherhood and meeting other dads like you, just perusing your Instagram. I just love how much fun you have with your kiddo. So I'm looking forward to talking fatherhood with you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on your podcast. I think it's really great what you got going on. And now that I'm following more and I'm getting more indulged in all your podcasts and I'm finding out some cool new stuff and realizing that there's a lot like-minded fathers out there.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I kind of started this, I wrote a book in 2015 and then started this podcast in 2019 with this thought that, man, there's just not a lot of great dads out there. But then over the last 5 years, it's like I've had hundreds of conversations with guys like you and I who are waking up every day just stoked to go figure it out. Like definitely not the perfect dads, but we want to keep showing up, which is like, what more can you ask for? Like show up and love deeply.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, especially not perfect dads, because by any means, I don't think I'm a perfect dad. I think I'm navigating through being a father, and I believe I'm doing a good job. I get a lot of help from my other half, and that's the best part.
Yeah, man, figuring out how to do it as a team is its own wrestle. It's definitely, you wouldn't want to do it without that. But it's good. It's good. Johnny, how old do you find yourself today?
I am 39 years old. Feel a lot younger, but my injuries are catching up to me, so I'm kind of feeling the age a little bit, but still feel young as ever.
Good. Yeah. What do you do to keep yourself feeling young?
Man, just keep moving. Gotta keep it moving all day. I try to work out. We have a sauna here at home and a hyperbaric chamber, so I like to, first thing in the morning, get up, get in the sauna, get my body warm and going, and whether it's strength conditioning or just rolling jiu-jitsu or getting some wrestling in, I just like to stay active and those types of workouts. Misha's more of like going out hiking and getting the vitamin D and all that. And so I try to fit that in as much as I can too.
Nice. How many years you guys been together?
Misha and I have been together since 2018. So I think about 7 years.
Nice. And how many kiddos do you have, and what are their ages?
We have two kids. My daughter, who is 6, her name is Amaya, and my son, who is 4, his name is Daxton Wagner, and he is definitely living up to his middle name.
So good. So good. Any more kids on the horizon? Or are we sticking? We got the perfect boy and girl.
We want to. We definitely want to. I've always dreamed of having a big family, and just having a bunch of kids, and but didn't really realize how much logistics go into that, and how hard that could be. And if you have more kids, I kind of feel like people think that you kind of take away from, you get to spend less time with each individual kid, but I don't really see it that way. We got busy lives right now. Misha's still fighting. I think I'm going to try to fight one more time before I retire, but I mean, my better days are behind me, so I really just want to focus on raising good kids, and raising honest athletes, really.
Mm, mm. I love that. I want to hear more about that. Where do you guys do life?
We are in Las Vegas, Nevada. We've been here. I've been here for about 15 years. Misha's been here for about 12 or something like that. But we're trying to get back to Idaho. I'm originally from Idaho, wrestled at Boise State, and Misha's from Tacoma area, Washington State. And we were like, obviously we don't want to raise the kids. Nice, nice. We don't want to necessarily raise our kids in Las Vegas. Um, so we're trying to get back to Idaho. Misha wants to have a compound, and just homeschool the kids, and grow our own food, raise our own animals, and just live life, really. So that's the plan. I think we're on like a three year plan to try to get over there. And it's just so hard with so much going on, especially trying to get good training.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's interesting because it's like the world has gotten smaller, right? So like a flight to Vegas from Idaho is not that big a deal. Obviously you can't go there every day for training, but you have to create some community up in Idaho. But yeah, the world is small, but I think more and more of us are realizing like this like expansion of like anything's possible. And it's funny, we're wanting to just give me the 10 acres and the food, and let me just kind of like chill out versus just going 1,000 miles an hour all the time.
And on top of it, it's what's going on in the world. It's kind of scary. I'm not scared for myself. I'm kind of just scared for our children. And what it's going to look like in about 10, 15 years.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it comes back to this reality, like as a father, is we have such a responsibility and opportunity to start to think about what am I passing down to my kids. And I get caught up in it, man. I get caught up in the fun and the dirt bikes and the snowboarding and like this stuff, which is great. But then also, like, am I teaching you skills and ultimately about family? I think that's like, if I had to pick one thing and you were to come back, in 100 years and Ned's no longer here, I would want my offspring to to be putting a lot of effort into family.
Right. No, I believe the same. I think I think having a very, very close family, and being well connected to your mom and dad, being able to tell them anything, and not really lie, but you know just have the comfortability of just saying like, hey, I'm feeling this certain way. I don't. I'm feeling this way, and this is why I'm sad, rather than just bottling it up and not saying anything, and then having big outbursts. So those are some things that I like to put at the front of what I teach the kids. Is just you can talk to me, you can say, it doesn't matter what it is. If you did something wrong, let's just talk through it. And so I believe that having a relationship with your parents is probably the most important, a good relationship.
Yes, and I mean it's that emotional awareness, right? And then the ability to be vulnerable and have a conversation about it. And so it's like, if you and I'll tell you, for the most part, like I've cultivated that with my kids when they were 4 and 6, and now that they're 12 to 18, For the most part, right? There's still the caught you in a lie or you didn't, and that's part of their growing up, right? That's part of my job is like, don't get super butthurt about it, but like, let's work through this, let's work through this.
How many kids you have again?
5.
5 kids. All right. That's what I'm talking about.
We had 1 and then 2 and then we had twins. They were a total surprise. So I thought I'd have 2 kids, and we have 5, and it's wild, but it's good. So to go back, I held up my Boise State dad mug. So my oldest is 18. She's at her first year at college, and she's at Boise State. So we've been heading out there a little bit. So yeah, pretty fun. It's
nursing
cool.
program or
you know what, man? She wants to do business and then maybe be a teacher. So it's like that's kind of her mode. But Boise State's been really good for her to spread her wings a bit.
Right. It's a nice place. I'm not sure if you've been there, but it's nice. It's a nice college town. Where are you guys at?
We live in Hawaii. So we live Big Island, Hawaii. And so it's like a little bit of a trek. We put her on a plane on Monday to head back. And she went from 80 degrees down to whatever it is. It's not that bad, but cold compared to here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You kind of alluded to this a little bit, and I love and hate this question. I mean, obviously, a lot of people listening to this are already going to know who you are, but maybe tell us what it is you do for a living. And I ask it because it doesn't matter what you do. When it comes to fatherhood, you're going to have a 10-year-old daughter one day. You're going to have a 16-year-old son one day. Like, we all have to go through these milestone moments as a father. So with that being said, what is it that you do for a living and provide value out in the world?
So I came to Vegas after I graduated from Boise State in 2009, and one of my coaches was he owned a gym, the Tap Out Gym out here, and he also was in home health care, medical supplies, and very successful. Had a bunch of offices, Idaho, California, and he just gave me an opportunity to come out and train. I had no money, come out and train, and gave me a job. Just started up just working hourly in one of his offices, and our relationship. He's one of my mentors, business mentors, and eventually I ended up partnering with him in some offices. So I'm part owner in a few those offices here in Vegas, and I fought. I just wanted to do the MMA thing for as long as I could, and started a wrestling club out of that gym. I was doing that for a few years, and just decided I needed to take it more serious with MMA. So I did that. Fought for some of the biggest promotions. Bellator, World Series of Fighting. I was on the Ultimate Fighter, and that wasn't really paying the bills and stuff. So I just started investing in real estate. We have a portfolio now that we have to manage. And just recently, in the last few years, I've been an EMT for about 3 years. So I've been trying to get into the fire department. I wanted to get in the fire department here to start off, but we always had that goal of getting out of Vegas. So I've put that on hold, and so I just do EMT work as much as I can. But man, it's a full-time job trying to just raise these kids. Really, I could be in the office every day, and I could be working to gain more from my real estate properties and my business, but I'm choosing to. Our 4-year-old is like semi homeschool. He just goes to a learning center a couple days a week. So that's basically I'm pretty much full-time father, and I have just entrepreneur things coming up all the time. I as far as a job, I'd say my number one job is just being a dad.
Dude, it's so good. So check this out. So there's this book that's like one of my favorite books. It's called Listen, My Son. And it's like a commentary on Saint Benedict. And anyways, long story short, there's like a devotion every day. And I read it this morning, and the kind of like devotion in it today. I'll just read this one sentence, but it was all about this. It says, so putting the family first may require the sacrifice of our career or a real reduction or limitation to our income. So like this whole section was all about like, there might be things that we say no to. Like, I could do more real estate. I could go pursue this more. But it's like you have a very clear understanding or clarity around the fatherhood role being above kind of the identity you get from whatever you do in the world, which I think is game changer, life changing, could be change our world if more men thought that way. So, why do you think you have that belief? Do you think that being in MMA and being a professional fighter that you've sort of like seen the limelight some, so now it's easier to walk away from needing that? What gives you that clarity?
Yeah, I think that kind of hits it spot on. Really, I've kind of seen that that limelight for a little bit, and to add on to that, it's like Misha's, obviously um, the bigger, she's in the limelight more, and I got to see that towards the end of my career, that it's not, that's not something that everybody that wants. It's like it's not always good. It's not always good, and I think she felt the same way too. And it's the teamwork between the both of us of figuring out, okay, you know, we both can't be there because, for one, I believe it probably would ruin a relationship, and then the kids may, take the hit for that. And so we've devoted ourselves to, like, hey, you do this, and I'll take care of it. I'll take care of everything else. That's the sacrifice that I'm making. I wouldn't call it a sacrifice, really. That, I guess, what I'm choosing to do. And like, she's as busy as ever. She just started her new podcast, and now it's figuring out all that, and it's just getting she's getting more and more popularity, which is good financially, but she loves it, and she loves what to do, and that makes me happy. That makes me feel like, okay, I mean, I am adding to the family by supporting her and making sure that she doesn't have to do the taxes. She doesn't have to worry about the deals. I got the contract. She just has to go and just um, do what she loves to do and not worry about anything else.
How have you positioned yourself? Like, one, you just said that fatherhood is like the ultimate, right? And I love you. You're like, it's not really a sacrifice. Like, this is all good. I love it. How have you mentally shifted or been able to be in this, like, whatever killed your ego, and just been like, dude, I'm just pumped to support you, babe. Like, this is cool. This is what I want to do. Yeah, talk to me about that a little bit.
It took a little bit of getting used to. Misha and I were together for a little over a year before we got pregnant with our daughter, and so we kind of just jumped into it, like, really quick, and it was something we both wanted, and we're so happy for, and just kind of learned through it, like, especially like the hard times of just like, man, I remember when Amaya was just born, that, like, she's just a baby, so I needed to go train. I needed to train two, 3 times a day, and it would create tension. And then finally, it was just like, well, I don't have to train 3 times a day. Like, this is Johnny before he had a family, and so I really had to check myself and really understand that, like, it's not really about me anymore. It's about us, and it's about my kids. And so that's one thing that I kind of had epiphany about, was just stepping back.
And how old were the kiddos when you had that epiphany? And was there a certain moment that happened?
I think it happened. You know, we went to Singapore. I got a contract with One Championship, and Misha got on as a VP for One Championship. So we just left for 2 years, and we had both kids there. And boy, it was hard. Not really that much help from family, and we kind of just had to figure it out. And my job was to train. Then I was getting paid for it. And then I realized after COVID that we came back, it's like, you know, that's not something that I need. If it's my job, okay, I can change. I have to train 3 times a day, and I have to perform, but I'm gonna choose this route because um, I feel like I could be more connected with my family, and I can provide the best of myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's really important. How do I provide the best of myself to my family? Because it's like, where am I giving my best creative energy to, right? I think sometimes we look at time a lot. And yeah, you do have to work, whatever. There might be a lot of time you spend away, but am I giving my family my best energy? Like, am I showing up ready to be there, like really be there for them?
Especially after you get done working out, or you're getting done with the shift of work, and you've had a long day. It's hard to stay engaged.
Yeah. Yeah. With that in mind, kind of having this understanding and clarity that fatherhood is critical and you love it and supporting your spouse is really important to you. What would you say the role of the father is?
I would s- I believe the role of the father is pretty much to provide the best way you can, and you know teach your kids, you know how to be honest, have good character, just be a good person, and that's it. Like, at the end of the day, you kind of just have to lead them, guide them. You know, you I don't want to say that, like, you know my son and my daughter are they're going to wrestle. They're going to, and they're going to wrestle 5 times a week, just like I did, and they're going to do that. We've taken a just total different approach. My son didn't want to have nothing to do with wrestling like last year, and didn't push him. And now that sister's doing it, he's just all about it now. And it's just like, let him figure it out himself, rather than being like, hey, you're going to do this. So I think just guiding them the way that you want, and letting them figure out what they want to do, in the process still being a good person, and teaching basic life skills.
Yeah, two words I heard you say. You said at the beginning, you said you wanted to raise honest athletes. And then again, you used the word honest. You want to teach that to your kids. Why is honesty important to you? What does honesty mean? And then how do you incorporate like a like my 12-year-old said to me the other day, she's like, Dad, we're a fitness family. Because she was telling me about at PE the other day, she smoked the boys. She's in 6th grade, but she smoked the boys at pull-ups. And she was like stoked. You know what I mean? She did more pull-ups than all the boys in her 6th grade class. And so she's telling me about it. And then she's like, we're a fitness family. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? We care a lot about fitness and doing our best in that arena. But for you guys, when you talk about honesty and being an athlete, what do those things mean to you?
So just to clarify too, honest, I don't necessarily mean like, hey, don't lie. Like, if you go and do something in your room and I ask you and you lie, like, not necessarily that. Yeah, obviously when they grow up, you don't want to lie like that. But honesty, I mean, just being honest to yourself. And if you're going to give it all, like in a, let's say in a wrestling match, a tournament, as long as you did your best, and only if you gave it your best. And so that's the kind of honesty like I'm talking about, is just being honest with yourself, and figuring out your way through your own mental problems, and just being truthful to yourself, obviously being truthful to your family, and not lying to deceive people, and just all of that in conjunction with just being honest.
Yeah. It's like you're. It's like the social awareness, the emotional awareness that we talked about, and then just showing up, right? It's like you want to teach your kids how to show up as their authentic, true self. Like, I don't know, we use those words a little bit much, maybe, but are you showing up fully in your guys' careers, you and your spouse? It's like you can't hide. You have to show up, right? So you guys have been
or it shows
modeling this,
or it shows
or
if you don't.
it shows. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing I love about fitness and even fighting or martial arts in general. It's like there's no faking it, right? It's like you either did the work or you didn't do the work. I mean, that's just yeah. And that's I mean, so we talk about 4 pillars: faith, family, fitness, and finance. And you could really fake it with faith. You could fake it even in your family. You could fake it um, in your finances, like, oh, I'm crushing it. And really, you're just like totally falling apart. But fitness, you can't lie about that. It's like it either is or isn't. So, how do you, with a 4 and a 6 year old? I mean, I know you do some wrestling with them, but how did you incorporate it's tough because you're just leading, you're just being yourself, right? So they've just seen you do this. But how would you say over the last 6 years you've kind of incorporated your kids into your guys' lifestyle as fit athletes?
We've always, like, brought them to the gym and stuff like that. But just recently, my daughter she just started a new micro school. It's called Apogee. So Tim Kennedy and Matt Bordeaux. It's a micro school. It's all about Socratic discussions. They debate, and like every day they do a workout. Every It really really caught me off guard at first because the way they explained it, I was like, "What is this?" They don't call them students; they call them learners. They don't call, the teachers aren't teachers; they're guiders, and there's no grades, there's no tests, and it really like threw me off guard because I grew up in the public school system, and for the discussions I had with Misha, it was always like, well, I was in public school. Look at me, like that was my argument. But I mean, this program, micro school, they have it. Uh, you come in and you have to shake your the teacher's hand and look her in the face, and it's just like stuff like that. Those are the characteristics that I want my kids to have. So, I mean, she's only been going since August, and it's just like I'm just seeing so much improvement with just like the way she thinks. Going to go sit down and do something herself, and very creative, and she's excited about training. And they train every day, like they do workouts every day, every morning, and she loves it. She every time it's like the weekend, just like, do I have school today? Like, not today. Oh man, like she has a break, like Christmas break. When do I get to go back to school? Like, and before, she would be in first grade this year. Before, the public it is a charter school, but public school, she didn't really like it. I mean, I think she got made fun of by other kids for having vegetables, or having like goat cheese, and
It's
like
ridiculous stuff.
that's a
Yeah.
that's a problem. Like really healthy, like, why do you have a glass container in your lunchbox, and she got belittled for that. And so I think she's in a good place, and that's one thing that one way that we've incorporated, just like you said, all those characteristics of how we want our kids to be. And I think we found like a really really good fit. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much just blown away on her attitude towards school and being there, and it's really really cool to see.
That's awesome. Yeah. If anybody's wondering about that, definitely go check out Apogee with Matt Boudreau and Tim Kennedy. They're doing cool stuff. They even have online program stuff for depending. Like my son went through it last year.
Oh really? Okay, so you're familiar.
Yeah, so familiar. And then even like Acton Academies was kind of like another option. But there's just some cool things out there that are options.
Another thing too is they have a men's program and a women's program for the parents, and they try to unite that way, and like basically just be like a tribe and a family, and give support to parents. And yeah, I think that's great opportunities, and it's great. It's really cool to see, just like your podcast, to see like-minded people, and physically talk to somebody rather than just reading a book.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the world that what there's such an opportunity to find tribes and really be connected, and not just like, oh, we're all, politically I don't know. I mean, there is things there, but my point is you don't just have to fall into these like subculture Instagram, TikTok groups of whatever. Like you could actually go do life with people and be on a Zoom call and hear from the great minds, and then implement that stuff in your family and be connected. And I know Apogee, I think they do a couple of annual events and things like that. So it's we live in a unique space where we can start to do life with people that we actually want our lives to look like. Um, yes, it's so good. Hey, Johnny, I wanted to shift gears for a minute here and ask you about your dad. So I know you were raised by a single dad, made some shifts growing up, but when you think about your dad, and you can share whatever you want, what's something that you appreciated about your dad? And then what's something that you wish he did differently? Not that you would maybe change it, but learning from, like, now that you're a dad, you can kind of decide how you want to show up. So is there something you saw that you wish you would have done differently?
Yeah, I think growing up, I always admired that my dad was just hardworking and provided for the family. I got two older brothers. My mom left when I was about 2 years old, so I never really had a relationship with her. But dad wasn't always there either because he was always working. He was always working to make sure we were taken care of, and I admired that. I admired like his work ethic, um, and I got a lot of a lot of father figures in my life, or like my coaches as well. My high school coaches. I didn't like to be home a lot, so I spent a lot of time practicing or with my friends who were. I'm from a small town, so it's my coaches were my friend's dad. So um, they 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 got me to that next step. I feel like my father taught me those morals about hard work, and my coaches really stepped in and filled in those gaps that I didn't have with my father. But great experiences, though. I mean, I think I take a lot from my dad that I don't realize. Um, Hard work being the one, but probably just being stubborn and not backing down too, because that's how my dad was. So he never gave up, and neither did I.
And is there anything you wish you would have done differently?
Um, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think everything worked out just the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, for sure. And I get that, right? It's like I wouldn't, something happened in my life, I probably wouldn't change it for the most part because it made me the man I am today. And part of the reason I asked the question is, one day your kids and my kids will be 39 years old and they'll have an opinion about you and I. And what is it that we would hope to overhear if we were listening into the podcast? And it's the things that you and I do today when we pick them up from school, when we take them to the dentist, when we go to their sports games, whatever. It's all those micro things that are going to shape their view, because a father just has such an influence on their kids. The other thing that you said that I think is just, we cannot miss this, is the value of a coach, a youth pastor, a teacher, like these people who play significant roles in middle and high school, especially, right? They're so important. They're so needed. So dads, like, if you want to put yourself out there and be a coach, like, don't miss that opportunity, because there's a kid whose dad is stuck at work or whose dad isn't around that is just so hungry. It doesn't even matter the sport. They're just so hungry for a father figure.
Yeah, I think that's spot on too. I mean, I coach kids club, kids wrestling, high school kids wrestling. I'm just about to go back to start coaching my kids with the program at Extreme Couture. So I'm excited about that because I haven't really stepped in that role yet, and it's going to be different for the kids because they're going to realize that I'm not dad during practice. And it's going to be different. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, hopefully they catch on and they figure it out.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. When you think about your kids, stepping out of the house, say 18, 19, 20, whatever that kind of looks like, what is it that you want them to know, and that you would feel like, man, I really showed up for them the last, 20 years. What is it you want them to know where you're like, oh, I feel good sending them off into the world?
They always have a home. They always can come home. It's never hey, you're on your own. See ya. They always have the help if they need it, and they always got us to lean on too. So I would say that's probably like the number one thing I would want them to know is that they're always welcome home no matter what, and basically to just be an open book and tell whatever it is. If it's you you got a broken heart, or you did something that was really bad and you can't tell anybody else, like, it doesn't matter, whatever it is.
Did you feel like you had that when you left home?
um mm, no, no, I don't feel like I did. I had friends that I felt that way with, but not to my parents, not to my dad, really. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
Yeah, I mean, it's shaped who you are, I've been talking to my kids more about this. Like, I moved out at 18, and I knew I could call my parents if I needed something, whatever. But there was never this thought of like go back. And maybe it's like I have four girls and a son, so it's like I really want my girls to know, like, yo, come back. I'm here. If you're trying to get somewhere in life and you need a place to be for a bit, like, I want you to be here. But I just think in general, like, American culture isn't so good at that. It's kind of like grow up, move out at 18, go to college and land somewhere else. And it's like, I hate that. I feel like other cultures have it down a bit better where family just does life together long term. And so we've been trying to talk about that as a family, is like the tendency is everybody lands in a different state. But what if we were start to think now about what it would look like to try to be able to do life together? Where do you guys land on that?
yeah, the Asian culture. We lived in Singapore for a few years, traveled all over Asia, Southeast Asia, and everybody stays home. Everybody lives with their parents, and they live. Parents live on the bottom. The kids live on the top, and they raise their families there, and it's just one big happy family. I don't know. I don't know if that would work so well. That's the difference between the American culture, because um, you know we probably get too comfortable in America and realize that we don't have to do anything because mom and dad have it. So
Yeah, yeah, we're way too comfortable. I think we've been learning that in Hawaii here as well, because like Hawaiian culture, it's like there's families living in a house that has been owned for 30 years. And I'm like, dude, that would have changed the game for me if the last 20 years I wasn't like, we're in the middle of buying our seventh house and it's like on us, we're buried, we pay month, so much. It's like, how would that have been if that wasn't really necessary because it was just like, not a thing. So that's been shifting our mindset a bit about it. How else did living in Asia, like having your babies there and kind of starting your family there, how has that shifted, you think, your parenting style or your fathering or any additional outlook on how you want to raise your family?
I think it was really just COVID rather than over there. It was COVID. Our son was born uh, June of 2020. I delivered him in our bathroom in Singapore during COVID.
Was it just the three of you?
Yeah, yeah.
Bro, tell me about this. That's wild.
It was, our daughter actually. Misha was in labor for like 72 hours, and she's trying to do home birth, and no drugs or anything, and yeah, 72 hours. So our daughter was born, and so like the second one, we're like, you know, this is it, you know, it's going to be a while, and her water broke, and we're just like, should we go? And then all of a
Oh, so you're
sudden,
planning to go to the hospital?
we're for a natural birth, yes. And then it just happened so quick, and then I was like, do you want me to call? She was like, I can't. So then she just went all on all fours, and I didn't do anything. I just caught.
Bro, dude, though, I gotta tell you, like, mad respect. I feel like that's the one thing I wish I would have done is like delivered my own kid at home. I'd almost have another kid at 41 years old just to do it. But dude, I feel like there's nothing that probably connects you to like the like earth and being a man and family. Like, dude, that's nuts. That's nuts.
Yeah. Can I show you a picture? We got a picture in our living room that I got my wife though.
Oh, dude, that's so epic, bro. Wow.
Yeah. So that was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me, and greatest experience really. Um, yeah, it was awesome, and I think what your question again was about, what it taught us.
I was asking, yeah, like what did it shift in you guys in living in Asia? And you said it was more COVID, but I mean, like this moment here. Go ahead.
That shift was COVID happened, and Misha, she just got obsessed with homeopathic, and just the bad stuff that's in food, and what really like makes kids work and their brain function, and after that it was just like, our kids don't have sugar. They've never had soda pop ever. They've never had McDonald's. And Misha works really hard, researching and finding out about ingredients that are uh, literally killing our kids. And so it's annoying at times, but she's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. And I think, um, taking care of our kids in that sense and making sure that they're healthy, because it's up to us. They're not buying the food. We're buying the food. We give them what to put in their mouths. And so, I think that's what shifted, our parenting and everything. I think COVID was kind of just a blessing, because who knows? I mean, we wouldn't have had the time to do research of what's really going on, and figuring out with all the vaccine stuff, and I think it just helped us change directions in the way that we parent. And I'm just she figures it out, and I just follow her lead and implement it, and it all works great. And I think our kids are the healthiest they could be. They're you know they're going to grow up not liking all this stuff, this bad stuff, which is very important.
Yeah. Mm. Well, that kind of leads me to my next question is, this podcast is fatherhood field notes and you're doing it, just opening up your life, sharing it with us. But the mantra behind it is rebel and create. It's like as men, we want to rebel against something. We want to have battles to fight, passion, but not just to be destructive and tear something down, to create something beautiful in its place. So when you hear rebel and create, what's something you and your spouse are rebelling against, and what do you hope to create in its space?
Yeah, I think I touched on it a little bit before. Is like, the public school system. What we the information of what's in food and what exactly is in it. We rebel against anything basically that the government says we have to do. And public schools was our number one thing. And having, man, Amaya with kindergarten, she's had like homework every day of the week, and their tests, and it's just like it's it's hard. It's hard for a kid who doesn't, that should learn at their own pace. I'm not saying that they should be playing video games instead of doing homework, but learning at their own pace, and not have these tests to make sure you're at this level by this time, or put in you're held back, or you're left behind. So, um, that's probably the main thing that we rebel against. As far as the food, it's Misha likes to make everything herself from scratch, and it's tough. It takes a lot more work, but it's worth it. It's worth it for sure. Um, Rebelling up against anything else. I mean, even parenting styles. Like where I'm, I'll I'll take my son outside, have him get a switch, and I'll give him a little swat. Misha, not so much. But I feel like I'm the dad, so I should be the one to do that. If he deserves it. It's happened maybe a few times, but now all I have to even say is like, "Hey, we're gonna go outside and find a switch," and they just nope. I'm good. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll stop throwing a fit or whatever it is. But yeah, parenting style is one thing we rebel about.
I love it. And it's knowing your kid, right? And that's the thing you just said is like, with this kid, this works this way. With this kid, this works this way, which requires you as a parent to be like, why am I doing what I'm doing and where's it coming from and what's my motive? And if it's from my job is to guide these kiddos in the best way possible for them. I think it's really important. And I think it's so easy to just get on a bandwagon of like, this is the only way or this is the right way. And it's like, wait a second. No.
It's not one way. I mean, every kid's different, and so you have to guide your way through of figuring it out. And you might not be right. You might mess up a few times.
For sure. And in those mess ups, how do I respond to my kid? I mean, I remember times of disciplining my son, and it was because I was angry, frustrated. And I had to come to him and be like, hey, dude, I'm really sorry. Like, dad did not handle that well. And that has opened up opportunity for him to see, like, my dad doesn't have it all figured out, but not from like a lack of stability, but from the opportunity of like, we're all growing and figuring it out. I mean, lots of times, especially with our oldest, we're like, yo, this is the first 16-year-old we've ever had. This is the first time we've ever, so like, let's talk through what's the best way to handle this. It's our first rodeo. With our youngest, it's like a little bit easier because we've hit these age marks. When you think of fatherhood, when you think of your story, your life, your perspective, is there anything we missed that before I ask my final question that you would want to share with dads out there?
There's no right or wrong way, really. Just like we spoke about. I mean, there's really no right way. I mean, maybe your counterpart is doing more or doing less, but it takes two to kind of find your way through it.
Comes back to your word about honest. So it's like, dads, are you being honest with the way you're showing up? Don't hide behind the job. Don't hide behind the paycheck. Don't hide behind the, well, mom chooses school and mom does that. It's like, get in the game, dude. Be honest. Are you giving it 100%? And there's always room for us to grow. And that's probably why we're listening to this podcast right now. So, Johnny, my last question is a legacy question. Imagine you can fast forward to your kids being around 40 years old and you're standing out in a cul-de-sac peering into their homes. What is it that you see being played out in their homes that you're like, yes, this is good?
The love for your family, and just honest, good character, and raising their own family. Really, I'd love. They're already so like kind-hearted kids, and sometimes I think my son's just too much, too much emotional, too much of a softie. But that's him. I don't judge him for that, and if that's the way you know he's going to grow up, is just being that kind-hearted kid who cries if somebody hurts his feelings. you know. So I would love, my legacy just to move on like that, to where they have their kids and they teach their kids the same values that I've taught them. Hard work, just like my dad.
Dude, I love it, man. I mean, showing up, being honest, and then helping guide your kids into the humans that they were designed to be. Dude, thank you for being on the show, taking time out of your day. Thank you for showing up for your spouse, for your kids, and then being willing to share that with the world. Much love to you and blessing to your family, dude. And I look forward to our paths crossing again.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
What an incredible conversation. I so enjoyed meeting Johnny, talking about life, his fatherhood role, his past, his future. And one of the things that really just I left the conversation thinking about is this tension or this wrestle as a dad. It's like when I go to build my business, when I go do my career, I can really get caught up in it. I mean, I think last night I was on a walk with the dog at 9:00 at night. And I tend to fall into thinking about, oh, how am I going to grow this, do this, work with this employee, et cetera. And so a lot of my energy can go to career. And it's this constant reminder of, wait, am I putting fatherhood above this? Am I as in tune with leading my 15-year-old son as I am thinking about the value of leading my executive team and my business? So that tension, that wrestling with checking in with yourself and constantly reminding yourself, fatherhood, my opportunity, my responsibility as a father is critical. My friends, if you like these conversations, share it with a friend, pass it along. If you haven't already, please write a review, help spread the word that fatherhood matters. Thank you to all you dads out there listening to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast. What you do matters. Don't be like everybody else. Be yourself. That's who your kids, spouse, and community needs. This is your guide, Ned Shout. Together, let's rebel against the view that fatherhood has a little impact, and let's create lives engaged in mastering the craft of fatherhood. I look forward to hanging out with you next time.